you are.
Hi. Trying to feed the birds.
Awesome.
Here
Great.
you go.
Show me. This is Paul's piece of paradise here.
Hey, this is like, wow, yeah. These have been here for centuries. This whole area is like, oh, wow. From this spot out here, actually the moon rise and set, and it's beautiful. Stars as well, too. And it's quiet and peaceful here. And the birds love me. These are, I guess, small guys. But, they know they get fed. And what happens, too, is the fact that they see me out here, and they wait. They wait. I'm gone. They go, okay, guys, soup's on, and they just dive in. Hi, my name is Paul West. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, in Bed-Stuy. I was born in a Jewish hospital, same hospital as Aaron Copland, the composer, was born in. I grew up on Bed-Stuy on Macon Street between Stuyvesant and Lewis. And as a child in there, I played the same games my father did. Stickball, stoop ball. We flew kites in March. We had played yo-yos. It was great. I loved it. Outside all the time. Also, living then in my grandmother's house, where my parents worked, I would also hear the sounds of the street. So you'd hear these guys come by with horses and carriages. They'd yell, "Hey, hey, fishman! Hey, hey, fishman!" And out people came out of the doors, fresh fish, ice, all ready to go. Also, with the guys that were there to sharpen your blades, clang, clang. You sharpen everything. Also living at 42 Macon Street, we got coal deliveries. So guys would back the trucks up the curb, have a chute that would put coal down there to put in the furnace. So I was living in my grandmother's house because she's babysitting me while my parents were working. And so what would happen is that I'd be there with Nanny, and we have fun all the time. I did some dumb things too, but I'm a guy. What a guy. So one day, I watched cartoons all the time on TV. Saw the cartoon guys fall down the stairs. So wow, looked like fun. So I did the same thing. Oh boys, not smart, but it was life experience. Also, being there in the household, my grandmother was from the West Indies, and she's a great cook. So whenever my brother and I could go visit Nanny would say, "Hey boys, what's today for dinner? Don't look at your mother. She can't cook." So we had West Indian food, all kind of great stuff. Sweet potato bread, peas and rice. Oh, I want that right now. Peas and rice. My mother could not cook that kind of food. She's too American. But so we finally went home, and out in Queens, we had a house in Hollis, Queens. And in the community there were so many people who played jazz. Count Basie was 2 blocks from my house. Roy Haynes, the drummer, lived around the corner. All these guys from the band were there, living in Hollis. It was very cool. It was very cool. It's funny that in later years, the guys from Run DMC lived 4 blocks from my house. And LL Cool J lived down 5 blocks off my house. So this is like went from jazz to hip-hop stuff. Yeah, it was very cool. And on my block, it was great. We were the only black family in the block. And all the stores around us were Italian, Jewish, Greek. It was a pharmacy on every other block, and it was really great. Later on, I worked in one of those pharmacies in Hollis, Queens. And the thing about that neighborhood is that across my house, caddy corner, was a big lot, big sand lot. We played ball in there all the time, baseball, softball in there all the time. But now it's a supermarket. And the people that own the lot, supermarket now, they pay those guys for that space. It was really cool. It was so close by. Also in that neighborhood too, we had a really good, we had trees everywhere in that block. And they were great. But they began to grow up under the sidewalk because they were so, roots were down there. And then along came Dutch elm disease and they were all gone. But I love being out there in Queens. building a snowman, building a little snow castle, and just up there all the time. Yeah, it was really fun. So then, we were there for a lot of years, and then I went to high school, Jamaica High School, and that was pretty cool. Good school, yeah, good teachers, really good. So one day, they said, we're going to go to Carnegie Hall for a concert. What kind of music? You'd be surprised. So kids were there from all over the city, and we got there, and, Carnegie Hall, great. On the stage is an orchestra. Then up comes the conductor, Leopold Tchaikovsky. Wow, I know that guy. He was in Fantasia. He took the head of Mickey Mouse at the very end. And at that point in time, the woman playing Tiffany was black, Elaine Jones. It was my first teacher on Tiffany, and that was very cool. So during my years during school, I also got to play soccer. American soccer for you guys, for me, it's football for you, soccer for me. And I said, wow, this is like fun. So I made the team, and I got to play, and I was one of 3 Americans on the squad. Other guys were all from everywhere in the world, Russia, Italy, German, France, everybody was different elsewhere. So, but the problem with this is the fact that being American, I know American history. These guys, they fought wars back in the 1600s, and they still, oh my God, you people, So what happened was that I think the French hated the British, the Italians hated the Greeks. For some war that happened, 2,000 years ago, they went, oh. One time, before we got started, they were fighting on the pitch. I said, guys, let's just play the game. No. So that was interesting. But then I reminded myself about how I need to learn world history. Why are they fighting on the field like this? Haven't even played yet. So that was a good experience for me. So at one point, I was a really bad boy. Really, really bad boy. So I'd go in the front door of school, and go out the back door, take a train into Manhattan, and go to the Village. And down there, I would hear jazz everywhere. And in Washington Square Park, I was playing chess. And then at one point, I got really involved with music, classical music. So I went down to the library down there at Lincoln Center, sit in the library with headphones and hear everything. So one day, I got really interested with the Philharmonic. So those guys were playing just after the concert hall. So I got there, I said, wow, how do I get in here? We're just rehearsing. So I snuck up the elevator and sat in the back of the seats, watching play. Wow, so cool. So at one point, I got, let me get a little higher in my seat. So I got in the elevator. There was Leonard Bernstein. But Lenny is so cool. He was like the man, his energy, his enthusiasm. He did everything right. I mean, Lenny's the best. And then before I left to go to college in Kansas, I took a job, company repairing air conditioners. He had clients all over the city, but mainly in Park Avenue. Sure enough, I had to put an air conditioner in Lenny's bathroom for his daughter. I said, wow, cool. So then I went to Kansas, 1968. Why there? I was in a league of, they called century students. 100 schools wanted me. So I chose Emporia, Kansas. And that changed my life. It changed everything. I'm now out there now where people, they call things bags, they call them sacks. We call them bags, because the sacks were used to put things in the supermarket back in the day. And then also so I went out there with my father. And so we flew in to Kansas City, and took a bus down to Emporia, and we had to wait at the truck stop. So they came out from the school, and they had a pickup truck. And I put the things in the back, and we drove into the city. We're looking around saying, oh my God, Daddy, where am I? We saw a guy on a horseback go to a diner, and he had his horse to meet her. Then he put some coins in there. man, Daddy, where are we? So I went to the school, and it was good. And finally, he left. I was living in a dorm downtown, and it was great. So across from us was a Pizza Hut. So guys in the building ordered pizza. We're from New York, Jersey, pizza. Wow, the worst pizza I had in my life. It was like graham cracker crust, and then ketchup on top of it. Oh my! And then they had pizza out there with pineapple. My God, what is this? And they had sausage from I think Hormel. Ah, bad. So what we'd do, we're bad kids too. We'd order maybe 5 pizzas, and they come up and they would say, "Oh, 5? Oh no, we only ordered 2. Oh, sorry." To go back and go a little forward now, a friend of mine's father passed away in Emporia. And at that point, I was going to College of Emporia. And we left the funeral to go next door. I showed my friend my old dorm. And I said, this guy comes to the door. Hi, I'm Paul West. I used to live here in the dorm. Oh yeah, I used to live at pizzas here back in the day. Did you pizzas from Pizza Hut downtown? Yeah. Oh my God. Right away I had Jewish guilt. Oi, oi. So I gave the guy $50. What's this for? I'm one of those guys that ordered 10 pizzas, we only paid for 5. So interest bearing and apology is $50. You said, give me a hug. So yeah, but so also being in that school in Emporia, living in Emporia, Kansas, things were not quite with the way they were in New York. So one time, friends of mine came from New York to visit me for a week. They stayed only 2 days. They got confused by people saying, "Good morning, how are you? Hello." Going to a store shopping. "Can I help you, sir?" "No, leave us alone. We're just looking." They just couldn't get that. Also being important too was the fact that people there, they're not. Well, what happened was that you go somewhere and they say, I said, "Good morning." They say, "How are you?" I said, "Good morning. How are you?" Oh, and then they say, "Well, where are you from?" "I'm from New York." "Oh, are you one of those gay homosexuals?" "No, sir, I'm not." So then a friend of mine, he was a nurse, and said, "Paul, come home with me for Thanksgiving." So at that point, I had no gigs. I played in bands all over the town, gospel bands, Western bands, jazz bands. And so I said, "Sure." So I had to bring a gift for them. Household, you would bring a gift. Really nice beveled glasses, beautiful. So they took me to their home. They didn't know I was black. I was being a friend being brought here. And they were like, "Oh my." Right away, they assumed that my mother was a prostitute and my father sold drugs. I was a pimp. Why? Television. Back in those days, in the 60s, black people always seen as villains and bad guys. So I said, "No, my mother is a tax collector for the city of New York. She runs a computer. My father is a pattern designer. What he does is that people bring in a pattern for a dress. They put it on a mannequin. He then cuts the master cut of shears for that pattern. It goes out and then they copy it. So patterns for Vogue, Simplicity, my father. Even at home, he had his old cutting shears. That was really cool. Oh, also my mother, she worked a keyboard operator, and she would make up these long rolls. I think about a foot high, but long, enough to go over the top of the backboard. And she'd punch out on the keyboard 3 reindeers and Santa and Merry Christmas. It was really cool, very cool. He was, "Wow, that's great." Also in that classroom too, I'm a W, so I always sit in the back. It's all arranged alphabetically. So what would happen is that I got to part back to W. My father's initials were carved in that Harold Edward West. Scratches. It was in there. I said, "Wow, this is Dad's." That was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yes. I feel almost like a farmer. Like milking the cows.
Uh-huh.
I'm feeding the birds.
These birds are well cared for.
Well, birds they need to be fed like anybody else. These guys more.
They eat like birds.
I think that it's nature. Nature. You got to think about not yourself, but this is God's service. These guys deserve to have what we have here. And what's great is that they also bring their kids when they're born. They say, "Okay, guys, where we going, Pop? This guy is a good place to have food for us." So we try and he's really good. He's a good guy. At first, we're kind of skeptical. Who's this guy? What's he doing out there? Oh, ooh, seeds. Oh, black sunflower seeds. Yummy. They also feed the squirrels and birds that are ground feeders. I want to fly. So that's really fun to do too. Yeah. We're almost done here. There's more to do, but
How often do you refill those?
it depends. Probably once a day. Feed almost to the top. It'll last the whole
Every day?
Well, yeah. It lasts until now.
Oh, wow.
They've been hungry though lately. So this way I'll get it done now. If I do it later, I'll become my friends, the mosquitoes. They love me. I have bites to prove it. So over here, we have a Baltimore Oriole feeder. And these guys, only for Baltimore Orioles. And I can tell they've been here because the bowls are empty. They love jelly. So normally you put up your oranges either side, and they go for jelly. And they just love it. And they fight for one spot. I had one yesterday, but now I have two. They want the jelly. They know what the good stuff is. And they bring the kids, little babies come, "Hey, Papa, where we going?" "Follow me, son." So they get here, and the Papa, tips in there. I said, "Your turn, Junior." "Oh, yeah, I can do this, Pop." They go, So now they know to come next year. They know where to go. Okay. So being in Pori was a treat. They had a real old-fashioned 5 and dime there. Counter and everything. And, it's black. Doesn't matter. Also, I joined the drum and bugle corps there. Out there, they were a big deal. You have all brass and percussion. They competed against other bands. And that was fun. So while they were at the college, I played in a lot of local bands. I played in a jazz band, a funk band from Kansas City, a church choir, and also, other things. So I played everything, all styles. So it was really fun, really fun. And then one day, the choir gospel singers got invited to a church getaway retreat. That was very cool. So we got there, we're playing, and then hundreds were there, and someone had a birthday. Said, "Happy birthday to Paul West." Oh, that's me. And I almost had tears in my eyes. They applauded me. I don't know how they knew it was my birthday, but it worked. So also out there too, I was manager of KRHA Stereo 91, a campus radio station that was you hear all through the community out there. So I was in charge, and I played all kinds of music. I made sure we had classical, jazz, rock, funk. I even played a copy of War of the Worlds for every Halloween. And so it was good. I got people organized. I wanted a program called Women's Voice, when women talk their piece. And so I found 3 women on campus. They said yes. 3 women said yes, we'll do it. Okay, so I trained them how to work the board and everything. And then I said, I want you to kick my butt out of the studio in a week. They did it in 3 days. They had it down. That was really good. One of the gals went on to broadcasting. Also up there too, I was at the college. People, I'm a nice guy. 3 women came up to me and said, "Are you a warlock?" I said, I don't think so. And in their family history, relatives people were burned at the stake. They thought they were witches. That was pretty spooky. And so I read so much about life out there. I love the big sky, the prairies. At times you can see shooting flies come down, stars flying down. I also got involved with a Mexican rock band to play weddings. So they come get me in a school bus. And first off, we go to the local liquor store and get beer. Coors, 3.2 alcohol. They call it Colorado Kool-Aid. It was garbage. So we put those in an ice bucket, go to the gig. I know nothing in Spanish or the music, but I find the rhythm, bounce along, but the best food. Oh my God. Oh, I can smell it now. It's fabuloso. So we finished the gig, and then we put everything in the bus. They take me back to Emporia, and what happens is that the bus, out come the beers. We go, oh, cold beers. And the guy's driving, no alcohol for him, and it's good. Yeah, very cool. I also had experience out there too of meeting people from all over the world. And at the time, in Iran, there was a revolt and the Shah got deposed. So anybody who had money would send their daughters over here, or their sons over here, to look for an American wife. So, great guys, really fun guys to hang out with. Yeah. So Emporia was really good for me, really, in so many ways. So after a while, I thought about leaving school and finishing school off and going work somewhere else out there, Wichita, Kansas. So I had to play one gig 'cause I can't make it. I have to go. Can't make it. What happened was that I got down there and they mailed me a plaque, telling me, thanking me for my work with the music department. Yeah. I still regret that move to this day. So now I'm in Wichita, Kansas, and this is a PBS station. And so I go down there as an audio engineer, and I build an audio studio. I even have had it painted Robin's egg blue. And I wanted dimmers in there. So a painting by a friend of mine, Kerry White, big abstract. He was perfect. So we brought it down to half light. The thing sparkled in there subtly. So I go in there for these long interviews, also for these pledge breaks. I go, oh, okay. Lights are low, board's lit up. Let's rock this bad boy. Come on. So that was great. Also up there too in Emporia at that station, they had a lot of alerts there for warnings of a tornado. So sometimes I work the board in the studio, broadcasting board. So I was instructed that when that comes up, take this cassette and put it in the broadcast mode, and then also show a picture of a tornado. So what happens is that I was in there, but you heard it. You heard the guy saying, "Warning, warning." But these farmers keep their radios up loud at night, so they can hear in case it's coming. So I said, So I got a symbol of my symbols. I played it, recorded at high level, but then broadcast it at a low level. It's more like I got with the symbol, and that's so different. No one's like, ding-a-ling-a-ling. No. Tornado. So the farmers love that. They got it right away. Okay. Yeah. Also being out there in Kansas, I got to really appreciate, nature all around me. It's really cool. I'm a city fella, Brooklyn, but out there, man. And I see why the people took wagons across the way. Well, what's funny that is the map came out in the New Yorker magazine, and it showed the United States. It showed New York. It showed a skull of a cattle that died, and San Francisco. That's it. So that was pretty funny. So while there too, I got to meet a conductor, Howard Hoggadall, great old guy from the old days. He was my boy. I took care of him. So I played timpani in an orchestra, and that was great. I'd also be in charge of setting up the stands, and music on the platform, and whenever we had a guest artist, with the best, I'd say, listen, hi there, I'm Paul. What do you want to have before or after the performance? Oh, bowl of fruit, water? Yeah, how about a bowl of fruit and some sparkling water? No problem. So that would happen. So it was fun. So also in that town too, they had these guys who played jazz in Vegas. I mean, good players. So they come back, for vacation to see folks. Well, what happened was that we had a trio, piano, bass, I played drums. So we go to the discotheque, and what they do is that they want to, blow their brains out. They've been playing, that stuff in Vegas. So what happens is that then they say, well, how about we're peppy? So why don't we go Flintstones? Yada, ba ba dee da, ba ba dee da, ba ba dee da da, bang bang, blah, blah. We do that, and the problem is that I'm playing very fast cymbal right hand. So these guys stand in line. They take 2 choruses, 3 choruses, 4 choruses. Come next. So at this time too, I was dealing with a form of Tai Chi exercises. So I'd be playing hard and fast, getting tight. The brain would say, Paul, we can do this, Paul. Just relax. While I'm playing, I hear the voice in my head, and I calm down, and it flows. So that was really cool. It really was. Yeah, it was great. Also, too, being there too, once again, absence of black folks there. And they always lived on the opposite side of everything, in houses that weren't so expensive. And that goes back to the time of people working the railroad, racism in that regard too. So that was kind of interesting to see that kind of, part of Black American life. So that was, yeah. So then during that same time too, along in the town came the Freedom Train in '76. The one, about America, it's history. So I had a train that came through there, decorated with all kinds of things on it about that period in life, in history. So what was interesting was that they had a steam train in the front. The back of it was the other car decorated, and that was so cool. I went down there with my crew when I worked at Channel 8. I said, wow, man, wow, that is so cool. And then I remember my director saying, how can we go back in the studio after seeing all this? And that was, boy, history. Yeah. I'm sorry, that was back in Emporia. Sorry, back to Wichita now. I apologize for that. We had a thing down there in Kansas called the Winfield Bluegrass and Picking Contest. People came there from all over the world to compete on 4 different stages. So I go down there with the truck and I think about 6 people to record this whole thing for PBS. So we get down there, and hi there, I'm from Channel 8. Well, who's in charge? I am. You're in charge? Yes, I am, sir. I guess being black, they were surprised. So we go down there, set up everything, and at one point, we're on this one guy playing a guitar. He's really, really good. And I didn't switch cameras at all. One person can focus on what he's playing. So I seen a documentary about, Bob Dylan, and it showed him playing his guitar and his guitar and harmonica. So the director had him on one shot, on an angle. So he saw everything. No cutaways, no wide shots. You were focused on him alone. So I wanted to do the same thing too with this guy in Wichita. So camera set up, I said, roll the tape. Hey, Paul, we got other cameras. No, one camera on him. He's fabulous. So that was great. The series got sent to PBS, and they loved it. Also on there too, I was asked to record the symphony orchestra, the Wichita Symphony Orchestra, good players. So I had to do it with, I had 5 cameras. I've never done this before. I've seen it always on television. So what I did was that I trained my crew how to take wide shot, tight shots, and also the commands they hear over the headphones. And then for rehearsal, they weren't there. I put names of all the violins, all the orchestra, on the music stands. They go, oh, wow. And later on, I showed pictures of violins, cello, bassoons, harpsichord. So it was good. So then we go, so I had to sit down with a score and map out all the parts, for camera shots. I did it like 4 times. And I just, oh my God, this is like schmuck, it's garbage. Finally, bling, I had it down. And it was perfect, just perfect. And I thought about the fact that we had outside have a wide shot. We taped that also, extra, as a B-roll, and into the hall. It was wonderful. I did that twice with those guys. Yeah. One thing I find in my life is that I've experienced a lot of different lives and cultures in, my early years. And people always say that, well, gee, Paul, Jim Crow? I said, well, we were in Brooklyn. Everybody knew we had to be, but they all had the same jobs. They worked in factories, they worked in offices, in colleges. Jewish kids were there with black kids. And we learned the arts, and it was like fun. Not being in the South. No, totally different. There were no signs saying that, you can't drink here, you can't work here. No. And my community were members of a church, State Baptist Church, huge church, means wow. Service went on all day long. In that church were members of great musicians like Count Basie was in that church, Max Rose the drummer. It was community. So we were good. We didn't have that kind of thing about, when they had riots in Newark, and we moved our house into Queens, they said, burn, baby, burn. We said, I can't burn, I have a mortgage to pay. So that whole thing was about us everybody was Jim Crow. That's a South thing. Where we were, it happened later on in very subtle ways, with different forms of being discriminated against. My mother went for a job, and they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, they gave her something menial to do. She went up the ladder, became a supervisor. So once again, for us, we always need a chance opportunity. Same way you get for women, people who are Asian, Chinese, Japanese, everybody. They come here for a reason. They get a chance. And we've been denied, forever. One of the sad stories is that, black soldiers went to France to fight in the First World War. And great, they gave medals, they loved them. They come back to the U.S., here's a shovel, go dig a ditch. So those things, I don't fit that at all. I think when I travel around the world, I make sure that I don't fit the so-called black stereotypes of people they see on TV and the movies. No. I'm not better than those people. I have my respect. I know what they do, I like what they do. I have a wider view. And, I'm not being a snob, but, I think when I saw Painted Desert by Walt Disney, it was a TV show about the outdoors. I said, wow, that is so cool. Where's that place at? So places I've seen on television and documentaries, I want to go there. One of them was Alaska. And I was getting into outdoor camping. So I got my tent and things together. I practiced opening my tent in my backyard. So I took a plane from JFK Airport to San Francisco and up to Anchorage, Alaska. And it was very cool. So when I got there, the cab driver, I said, hi, where are you from? I'm from New York. Oh, Queens, so am I. What school do you go to? I went to Jamaica. My brother went to Jackson. Harold West? Yeah, my brother. Wow! This guy was from my neighborhood. He was up there doing a cab because up there, he was a soldier up there, and he didn't want to go home. He stayed. So it was cool. Yeah. That was a cool trip too. It was cool. Yeah. So I'd be out there. So I'd take a plane ride out to another city, and then this great diner. Wow, this is great. Everything's there. This was a Greek diner. you could, they shipped in there, dumped it there, and everything is there, just like in New York. Menu is like, so thick, always available 24 hours a day. So then the next day, I took a plane ride, a single engine plane, to this other part, and it was like, you wouldn't know what century this place was, but it was a Japanese factory that had fish, cleaned it and froze it and sent it back to Japan. So I lived there for a day on the floor, sleeping bag, in this big room. The next day, a guy came with the boat I ordered. And we took it almost an hour and a half to get out to my island out there. And this is it, okay. So I set up my tent. I had a four-season tent, make sure it wouldn't blow away, stakes and everything. And I set up my little radio, and around me were birds. So the island I was on, that small part, was housed by about the size of a city block. That was the home of male walruses and fur seals. So male walruses got the big tusk, and they lie there all day long, in the sun. And over there, were the other guys. But around me was 1.4 million birds, all kinds of birds. And the study that was their habits. So the puffins, great cool guys. They would look like cartoon characters. So they would leave this cliffside where there are hundreds of nests up there. They fly south. And they go down there and they get, a fish they put in their mouth. It's 3 or 4 of them on the sides. So they fly back lower to the water. Up there on top, the winds are kicking butt them down there. But now come back, and they smooth. It's almost like jet planes. So they get there and they break apart all their little. There are thousands of pieces of them. They know which one is theirs. That once again being me in Mother Nature, the outdoors. At nighttime, I was an hour and a half for anybody. I was there by myself. And that's a good experience for me. Yeah. And that's also part of my journey to see the world, history. And also go places where people don't expect people like me to be. People, we did a story about the kids who were killed in the Civil Rights Movement, Goodman, Cheney, and Swimmer, down in Philadelphia, Mississippi. So we get down there, and it's like, crews there from all over the world. And so we said, hey, Tom, let's go down and get something to eat. So we go down to this diner, and we walk in there, and suddenly like, like P.F. Hutton. And we sat at the counter, and we ordered something simple. And they threw us the menus, and he made sure that I didn't spit in anything we had. And then we left. But that taste of, the kind of, you could feel in the air, these are like, what's a white guy doing with a black guy? Oh my God. What life experience again. Yeah. The thing I find too is being overseas, I was in Japan, I was taking pictures of everything in Japan. So I had a tripod with a long lens on it. So down there was the guy directing traffic. Great shot. So I look around, and there's a line of people staring at me. And, I said, ni hao. Ni hao. Oh, Chinese people. I'm sorry, wrong language. So they watch me. One kid goes up to my arm and goes like, he brushes his hand on my arm to see whether it would come off. I said, no, it's cool. Before I got there, I knew people would do that. And they'd seen this guy, So eventually they stood in line. I put to the kid, and he looked at the camera lens and said, oh. They said, wow, that's cool. So once again, try to erase black stereotypes wherever I go.
But you've also, because you've encountered them as well, you've said, you've said to me, we were talking last night about the angry black man stereotype. And needing to fall forward, not backward.
Yeah, well, not even, okay. I find in my travels around the world, everywhere, I know I'm a black male. I've never seen one before. But I don't let that stop me or bother me in any way. I did not in any way. I'm Paul West, son of Dorothy and Harold West, Hollis, Queens. I'm a taxpaying American citizen, and I'm out to enjoy everything. Wherever I went, Japan, Philippines by myself, China, Singapore, all through Europe, Africa, everywhere, Moroccan, everywhere, not a problem. I don't go like, wow, what's this? I can't, no. You learn to enjoy experiences of other people's lives and their food and their habits. That's like the explorers did back in the day. There are many black explorers, Columbus did the exact same thing. They got ships, they saw the world. And that was, okay, yeah, I could do that. I have a quest, I love history. So the more I go, the more I want to go. I want to see everything that I've never seen before. Never held back by being black. No. The only problem I had once, well, I was not even being black. So I was in Africa on a tour in Kenya. And a bunch of people there were Americans being a lot of obnoxious person. And so they said, you American? I'm from Canada. I even wore flags that said Canada on it. So, yeah. But I never let that whole thing they see on television, riots and whatnot. I understand those causes, what they were. But, I'm not built that way. I want to see everything and not put anything but race and stop me from doing everything. One thing I didn't do was get caught up in politics. I knew what was going on, but I didn't want to be bogged down in that. People were being, lynched, they're being shot at, put in jail. No. I knew the cause, I knew about it, dealt with it a little way, but, I just wanted to live my life. And, not deny it anyway, it's going on, and experience it myself, even at NBC. But my perspective was, I want to see everything. I want to go to Alaska by myself, Egypt by myself, and just see the world. And so the whole thing about race and that kind of violence, it was there, but I didn't get myself involved with it. And that's probably bad, but you know what? I took care of me, myself, and I.
Were you also then a role model?
Sorry?
Were you also a role model? Did you break barriers? Do you think in Kansas you broke barriers? Do you think you gave people a different perspective?
Well, I've done it.
Just being yourself.
Well, yeah, but just being a black male everywhere was like, wow. It was like for them experience, but I never let get that my way. I wasn't shy or fight for myself. I just say I know the language. I speak up for myself, but not in a violent way. I so want to erase that stereotype of all blacks, like my parents at the house in Kansas. They assumed my father was a drug dealer and mother was a prostitute because the TV news. So forever and a day, I do not want to do that. I don't want to be that. See, we're not all thugs and bad people. Only time you're on television with black people, they get shot, riots. Okay, that's one part of black life. But there are also other people who are black, who are smart people that give back to the community. My teachers in Queens, they were all Irish, Italian, and Jewish. So, okay, and it was good. There was no kind of nonsense like they have now, racism. No, it might have been there, but I didn't see it. I was too busy hearing their voices in their different cultures and going to school.
You just said there wasn't racism like there is now. So you feel like there's more racism now?
Yeah, well, I think it happens more now due to our current administration. Mm-hmm. Suddenly there's a line now between, before it was taking care of people of all colors. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, man, people here, they're afraid, people who are Hispanic, afraid to go out of their houses. Like right now, factories, farming people, hospitals are losing workers. They're afraid to go out the door. Some people live at home and they get food delivered to their house. Afraid ISIS may go out there and see them. So as people, they're very annoying. Recently, I think a guy got sent down to the center down in Florida, and he had done nothing wrong. They made a mistake, but they didn't bring him back. Well, that really hurts me an awful lot. Think about everybody's country is an immigrant. You come in for a chance, And I don't like that at all. So growing in the world and see people, in Morocco, everywhere, I go like, wow. I see why they left to come to America. They see what they have now. I'm thinking more about the kids too, their kids.
So how is it different from from playing the drum set? How is
Well,
this?
this is different. This is total. This is this is ancient. This is a healing, meditative. This is a whole other different ball game. I can sit here all day long. So after a while, I said, you know what? I think I need to go back to New York now. So I directed one more pledge break, and then I took a trip to New York. And my friends were pissed. Paul, you have a job. You don't leave a job to get another job. That's all from the mentality of in the Depression years. Got a job, stick with it till you die. But I need to go, higher, new experiences. So I went back to New York, and I looked around to try and, look for work. But, so, I went to all these places, good resume. So one day, I saw a WNBC live truck. I said, hi there, I'm looking for a job. Oh, Jason Morgese, he's my rabbi. To this day, he still is. He changed my life. Go up there and see a guy named Frank Acarino. Went to Rockefeller Center, but I couldn't get up there. I had no permission. So one day I went up there and I said, I have an interview with Frank Acarino on the 7th floor. Oh, yeah, take the elevator. So I get up there, I said, hi, I'm Paul West. Oh, I'm Frank Acarino, have a seat. On his bulletin board over there was a license plate for a radio station in Wichita. I listen to it all the time. So, wow, oh, really? Oh, yeah, cool. Okay. So, interview back and forth, da-da-da-da. My problem was the fact that I had a resume, but people would get those jobs, as interns, who had no resume, but the father knew someone on the board, and they got in. But I was there, for a lifetime job. So it was really cool. So, I'm in there and there's this big meeting among all the people in the camera crews, even the people who were there, temporarily. They voiced their opinion on how things should be different. The four of us didn't say a word. The old motto was loose lips sink ships. We just nodded. The guys that spoke up who were temporaries, they were gone. And so at one point then too, I was working in the shop, and they told me, well, gee, Paul, they were give me a quiz, make sure I was on the level. And it said, oh, yeah, Mr. West, what kind of batteries do you use in a 635A microphone? There are none. Oh, you're right, we forgot, yeah. Okay. And then another time, to make them feel even better, I had a complaint about my audio levels on my tape machine. I said, Mr. Garrity, yes? Problem with my levels. Oh, they look fine. Let's go to 30 Rock. Let's go down the hallway. So this guy is a burly guy. He's like the size of a Billy Smithy, big burnt hands. And he went to the editor and he said, wow, that was fine. He said, don't you ever mess again with Post audio. Said, well, thank you, Mr. Kane, thank you. So it was fun. Being there was great. All kind of news stories, We did fires, cake, prep walks, news stories, breaking news stories all the time. And later on, I went from being with the camera guy to a video truck. And that was pure rock and roll. So much fun. Get somewhere and they tell you, put up the antenna and you tune into 3 towers, a Rockefeller Center, World Trade, and Empire. So we go places and they say, where are you? Oh, you never got out of there. Never told camera crew they can do it and they'll get it done. So we found spots where you could bounce signals up and stuff. So one time I'm with Tom Bear, big burly guy. Bear is a good name for me, he's Tom Bear. So we are now driving back from Jersey. Driving through Jersey. So now there's a big fire out by the beach, not far from there. So we locked and load. Tom Bear is going east in the west lane. We get there, fire's going, they bring the mayor, and the mayor is back to the fire, for us looking like I am right now. So we're doing good, live shot rolling. Out of nowhere comes a kid with a sign that says, eat at Joe's place. Behind him. I was like, no, move. Came back, stayed there. So what happens now is that the studio tells everybody, wrap it up, finish your broadcast. Suddenly, the guy had signed up again, and Tom Bear, he races after him while the camera's still rolling. And I came back, and finally Tom put the the billboard and shared it. We were on the air for almost 10 minutes. But no one could turn the camera off. But it was very cool. It was cool. So I worked in radio, as a student volunteer, radio station, all kind of things going on there. I thought it like it being a station in New York. And it was like, okay, it's all vocal, everything. So at one point, people in town at this senior center house want to start up a radio station. So I went down there and I said, yeah, okay, I could do it from like, maybe 7 to 10 on Sundays, no problem. I get down there, all the records in there from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and 50s, they're all, jazz big bands, but they're all recordings done yesterday. I said, no, you can't have that. So I figured out how to get in there more records recorded back in the day. These are live broadcasts. See, high atop the NBC studios, it's Frank Sinatra, it's Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and it's like, wow. Even had in there too the commercials. This is all recorded off the radio. Like, yay for Philip Morris cigarettes. The best apples in Apple Land makes Mott's applesauce taste right. And they were like, yes, I still remember those things like I had them yesterday. That was very cool. So one day I'm up there doing my recordings, and it's all good. And I'm live. So it's late, and I'm playing things from 1934, Dorsey stuff. And so what happens is that, wait a second now, I've been in this valley back in the day. I'm afraid one night, if I go outside, it'll be a moment of the Twilight Zone. Go through the doors and I'll be, uh-oh, what year is this? I'll be back in the time of the era I was playing the music from, 1930s. That was kind of, okay. All depends on where you hit the mallet. If I hit it here, dead spot here. But if you go on the outer side of the here, voices here. See that too as well. I want to get this wave of sound coming and going. So as this one ends, this one starts, that one begins. The overtones are so nice. One of the hardest stories for me to cover was 9/11. I was off that day. I was home in my house in Queens. And a friend said, Paul, look at the television. I thought it was a movie as the second plane went into the towers. So, oh my God. Went to work instantly. One of the things I found disturbing down there was when bodies were down there, under the rubble, and people were brought in there to take out the bodies and all the debris. What was odd was that the cameraman went down there. He had video of people taking watches off of people, the money out of their wallets. They're getting paid big money for this now, but no, pocketing it in their pockets. Available to them right there, rings, diamond rings, wallets, credit cards. That was kind of annoying to me. So we're down there too, and it just hurt my heart. And seeing people, smoke coming out of everywhere, we couldn't breathe. And it was just, wow. So then we went back to the shop and they made sure we got tested for any kind of chemicals that came out of there. And that was fine. So I need to get out of that place for a little while, get my lungs purified. So I took a train up to Lowell, meet a friend of mine. Stayed with her a couple of days in her other apartment, other house. And I went, oh God, my lungs are cleared out now. So I go back to work, and they had to give me a test again for what's in my system. They said, Paul, how about Afghanistan? With who? Wing Lee. Okay. Well, Wing Lee's afraid to go. So I went with a guy named Bill Angelucci from Philadelphia. Good cameraman, good buddy. We bonded. We went over there together, and it was good. I mean, we first landed in Pakistan, and that was strange too. So when we got to Pakistan, a big press conference, and I had all my gear with me. It was all good, but being dark-skinned and beard, could be an Arab or from Egypt, because a week before I got there, it's a big conference among generals and staff about Afghanistan. The cameraman came there with one camera, and he had a bomb in the camera, and he killed himself and half the people in the room. So they see me, okay, beard, dark skin, another terrorist. So what happened is that, I went to they looked through all my gear. They looked through all of my gear, and I said, okay, you can go. But a guy followed me with a .45 by his side, just in case I was not what claimed to be. That was interesting. So then, days later, we did a run into part of Pakistan, but the border would take us into Afghanistan. And that was great, because we got to see the culture there, and great hotel. And these people don't drink alcohol, but they have it for the tourists and for the press. So up on the top floor, they had a bar called the Infidel Lounge. People were like, well, infidel. And the wine and liquor brought in by a guy from Ireland. This is very ironic. But that was great. So then we were there for a couple of days, and then we crossed the border. And that got a little creepy. Because now terrorists around, guns everywhere. Yeah. Went into a town called Jalalabad, yeah. And so we're there, and we stayed in this place. There used to be a factory, an office building space. It was fine. Crews there from all over the world. And the Italian crews, though, as always, had the best of everything. And we're down there, eating food, and then it smelled. What's that smell? Oh, my God. The Italians are here. So they bring to a war zone, the camera gear, but also pots and pans, machines for espresso. I think this is part of being Italian. The Romans did the same thing too when they went off to England. They brought cooking. So that was interesting. So then we're there and began to shoot some stories out there. We have a driver, and that was scary as hell. But what happens over there is that people that own the drug farms, they rule the place. They rule the place. So one day we had a meeting of all the drug leaders, all dressed in their robes, and had a fight between these guys and this main guy and the other guys. So the next day we were told to stay in our rooms at the hotel. And the next meeting we had with those guys, half of them were gone. They were dead. This is almost like, he was like the Godfather. And so that was interesting. At that point, too, I got a call from my mother. Hey, boy, are you okay? Yeah, Mom, I'm fine. You safe? I'm very safe, Mother. I'm a guy. I don't tell my mom. You always tell Mom what they want to hear. So out there, too, so one day we're out there shooting, and video, and I say, hey, hold on. This is full of Russian landmines. Oh, he little twigs up there, okay. Very slowly backed out of it, very slowly. And then while we're there too in Afghanistan, we're there working, and these guys who are there all the time, who are Afghanis, we went to this place to film stuff. So when I came out of the van, like Eve Hutton, I looked at the people that they were trying to kill. So they didn't know what someone like me said. I said, you Arab, I kill you. You Arab, I kill you. I'm from Brooklyn. So that was okay. That was fine. And then, it was just kind of odd. Women were there too, as journalists from all over the world. And guys with guns all around, looking to help people, for safety. One guy went and pinched a woman in her ass. And she went like, bang! It fell to the ground. They all laughed. He could have shot her, but no. Yeah. Also, I was there too for Thanksgiving. And that was kind of interesting. Most of the people there for the press corps, they went down south to cover another story. They all went, except for maybe us and another crew from Fox. So the Afghanis, they have turkeys there, but they're bigger than, they call them elephant chickens, because they're bigger than normal chickens, elephant chickens. And they were good, they picked it all for us. So the guys were there too from the BBC. So there's a guy in town who goes around who sells you alcohol, spirits. So we brought him in, okay, we could change money, fine. So then he had a problem then that the knives they had, they weren't sharp enough to cut this meat for us. So I brought out my Swiss Army knife, sliced away. And then we had a toast, wine, the comrades we lost over there, journalist. And then there was a crew that was there, well, I can't mention names, but they were from the other network. So we're there in a war zone now, we're covering these stories, and it's a bad spot. So we're sitting there, shooting our distance. The guys are ahead of us, and they're live. And so what happens is that they say, folks, I'm here now, on is this battle on the ground here, trying to stay safe. We're standing up there looking at him. What are you talking about? It was a stage nonsense. So hey, Frank, get down, Frank, you may get killed. No one's shooting at anybody. Kind of made us, wow. So also there too, we had these three guys helping us. They were Pakistanis, and one of them went to college in the U.S. Nice guys, three of them nice guys. And so all our gear was in a school bus, and they take us around to all locations we need to go to, and bring us back home. So they were great guys. So I found out later they left us to go to work for another group, WNBC, in another city. So what happened was that the camera crews were in one little hotel, small hotel. The other guys, one of the other guys had to be somewhere else in a little smaller hotel. And sure enough, it was cold that night, so they gave him a space heater. Nighttime, the wind blew the flame out. He died of carbon monoxide poisoning. That was very sad. He's a good guy. I had pictures of him too as well. Yeah, it was rough. So then we moved to another town, and we had to stay there. They thought that bin Laden was going to come through the village, hide in his cave. So we got there. We had to rent someone's house out, for like 2 weeks. Gave them money. They thought it was wow. They thought they were millionaires. And it's a big flat house, had a lot of rooms in there, and they had a rooftop. You could see all the mountains. So I decided to stay up there by myself. I brought my 20 degree below zero sleeping bag for the trip. And I don't mind cold weather so much. I dressed for it. The joy was being there on my back, looking up at the stars. I mean, they were like, this hole you couldn't see, this hole you could not see, you couldn't count 100 stars. Unbelievable. The sky was awash with stars. And what was cool too was that from that where we were, you could see satellites going through space. Like clockwork every night. It was so cool. And I'm being there on my back looking up, and I go, wow, this is so great. And sure enough, later on, bombs we dropped in this cave where they thought a bin Laden was at nighttime. And you see the flash, and 5 seconds later, you feel the rumble. Like always travels faster than sound does. And that was interesting. So we're there for quite a while. And we then were to go back to Pakistan. So all our people who helped us out, these guys, guns and everything, and all this gear, we get to the border and say, this is all ours now. They want our camera gear. But we paid you for your families. What? No, this is ours now. They had guns. So I told my producing cameraman and talent, let me do this. So I spoke to these guys. My eyes pointed down, not threatening them, not to give me kind of threat at all. So I said, you know, guys, I don't understand this. We've given you everything we had, given you more than you asked for. I don't know where studies of the Quran that say you do this, you know? You know, you're supposed to give to someone, help them, but to take after they've given to you? Well, not for a while. He said, okay, take it, get out of here. So we left. So as we leave Afghanistan, that guy in the corner, street highway selling rugs. So I bought the rug I'm sitting on right now, and this rug, it was like dirty as hell. So I got at the hotel and they put it in a box for me, take it back to New York. And the Sotheby's looked at it, and Christie's, wow, they knew the artist. It was probably done back in 1970. Man, they said, how about $5,000 for this? Oh no. So I took it home. And it wouldn't fit in the walls. I didn't want to destroy it. It's so nice. I put it on the floor. And my cat, Tiger, oh, for me? Oh my God. Ooh, back. So then in my house, there's a pipe down in the basement. And it's down there and it's just below the parquet floors. Well, Tiger knew the spot where the heat was coming from there. He was like, oh boy, yeah, this is great. Also Afghanistan, the food that they eat there is interesting and pretty good. Also in Pakistan too. So we went back and we had a meal there of Pakistani food for like 10 guys. It cost us like $8. So we gave them, it's ridiculous, we gave them $20 each. And they're very happy. And the days in Pakistan and Afghanistan, I'll never forget. The next time we were in a war zone was in Albania during that war. And there were bombs going over our head. Oh, it's horrible. So I had to do these live shots every morning for the Today Show and MSNBC. So we're there in Albania, and we're taking these live shots, we're setting up by the camps. The problem was that these camps were full of water and mud. So whenever you walk, you had to put your foot up to get out of the mud. And overhead, people were having bombed left and right. So we're there in this like area that's horrible. And the audio's there, video's there, we got talent, 3 talent there, we're doing great. People at MSNBC says, hey guys, that picture, you make it a little more cheerier. And we couldn't, I had to say, I didn't say, we're in a goddamn war zone. You know, you have down the hallway, you got cafeteria, cold air conditioning. I didn't say that though. So we did our duty. And we were good. We were very good. The funny thing too about going into Pakistan from Berlin, there were like jet planes there that are like, you know, big, you know, 7s, 777s. Our plane arrives, and it's a small, tiny Antonov from the Russians. That was designed to take tanks and small machines into Warsaw. We get in there like being in a Klingon spacecraft. Wires exposed everywhere. You know, the bathroom didn't work. Everybody smoking cigarettes. And then, wow. So then we take off. And then we have to go to another city, in Hungary, to get refueled. We get out of the vehicle, of the plane, 4 propellers. One of them didn't match the other 3. Guys putting fuel in there, smoking cigarettes. Oh my God. So then as we approach Pakistan, they're looking for a big jet, you know, 747. Well, the Germans didn't want to bring one of their planes in there. They gave us this little guy. They were looking and said, who the hell are you guys? Where's that plane from Berlin Airlines? You know, they were ready to shoot us down. Finally, they figured out what was going on. And we deplaned and went to our lodgings. Another scary event. Okay. Well, we're somewhere, I think in here somewhere. Oh, see, like East Gloucester. And then I think East Gloucester. Yeah, so we're somewhere like over here. Somewhere around here. Somewhere right up in here somewhere. I still didn't put up my woodpecker food, suet food, guys. I still haven't done the, unfortunately, the hummingbirds. But yeah, it'll happen soon. But they come back. They know. They remember. They know where to go. Where to get good victuals. Only problem out here are the raccoons. Because sometimes the little guys, they love to try and get in bird feeders. They're not going to ground it. They can't help it.
So you don't have bears?
Well, there's always a history of the famous Gloucester bear. Yeah. And yeah, also what's good out here too is that the rabbits come through here. Squirrels of all kinds, red squirrels and also gray squirrels. And also we get a trip. We get people. Sorry, we get turkeys. A female here, 10 little guys, and then two at the back, and they just they eat the seeds. Also down by the pond down there, there's a pond there, right side. Every now and then you see ducks and mother and kids you cross to the other small ponds out there.